I'm going to tell you about 5 keyword research mistakes that you should avoid. I've made most of these mistakes, so I can tell you with personal experience how to avoid them. And I'm also going to cover one bonus mistake that people make. It's not directly related to the keyword research, but it is related to the content, which is obviously just as important as the keyword. My name is Doug Cunnington. I talk about Amazon affiliate sites and project management. So have a look around the channel, and if you like what you see, please subscribe. The first mistake is selecting keywords that just aren't profitable. You should have a blend, I say about 50-50, of buyers type keywords and more informational or how-to content. But the fact is, if you base your site on keywords where you're not going to be able to monetize effectively, then you're gonna have a hard time. So I did this with my very first site. I found Smart Passive Income in 2013, and I launched a site within 5-6 weeks or so. I didn't really understand what I was doing at all. I didn't know how to use the keyword research tools. I didn't know WordPress. I didn't know anything about hosting, and I set up a site basically all around a keyword where I could never make any money. I was able to get traffic to the site, a couple hundred people a day, but I couldn't monetize it very well because there were no products to sell around it. And it was kind of a small amount of traffic. So, if I was getting a few thousand people a day, maybe I could put some sort of ads up there, but just a few hundred a day, I wasn't able to do anything with it. Make sure that you're going after some buyers' keywords so that you could actually monetize in some fashion. The second big mistake is going after keywords that are too competitive and basically just being greedy. After I made the first mistake, going after keywords that I couldn't monetize, I went after extremely monetizable keywords and high search volume. So I was like, I made this mistake before and I swung in the other direction, and then I went after stuff that was like way too competitive. The search volumes were too high, and essentially what happens when you do that is there are people in the industry already that are ahead of you, and they are reinvesting their money, so they make it much harder to compete if you're just getting started. So make sure you don't go after anything like way too competitive. For me, I like to focus on very low competition. Even now, when I have more experience, I go after keyword golden ratio compliant keywords. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the keyword golden ratio, I'll put a link so you can check out the video and get an understanding on what it is. But essentially, it's a data-driven way to find keywords that are underserved on the internet. So really powerful, and what it really means is you could publish content that no one else is really targeting online and then rank your post without any backlinks. Number 3 is not understanding the data that you get from the keyword research tools and/or not understanding how to use the tools in general. When I got started, I didn't know what I was doing, right? So I already mentioned that. I gladly admit I didn't know what I was doing. I got my feet wet, and I quickly learned that I didn't know how to use the tools. The mistake that I made is I saw the competition level listed in the Google Keyword Planner and other tools, and the competition said low. Well, in that particular tool, competition is competition around ads. So people that use that tool are advertisers. So when they see low competition, it means not that many people are running ads on that keyword. And what that means is it's not a very profitable keyword most of the time, because if it was profitable, people would run ads and they would make money on the other side. So when you see low competition in the Google Keyword Planner, that is directed towards advertisers. So you have to understand your tools. There are other tools that have a keyword difficulty score or a competitiveness number. Now those have their own pitfalls, but just make sure you understand what those values mean, what any of the metrics mean, whatever tool you're using. So there are a lot of different tools you could use. Just make sure you understand the data that is coming out of those tools. Number 4 is singular versus plural or bad grammar. And what we're talking about here is, you see a keyword, let's say it's a ballpoint pen, and then you get some search volume and you think, hey, that's too competitive. But then if you search for ballpoint pens, you see it is still a high search volume, but way less competition. And then you think, well, I found a loophole. I'm going to go after the plural versus the singular. Or maybe you find a keyword that is sort of a longer phrase and poor grammar is used, like incorrect grammar, words are out of order, and it doesn't make sense, right? So if you find anything like that, usually at this point in time in 2018, Google understands how to spell words correctly. So if you type something in wrong, they'll fix it for you. If you put in singular, they understand singular and plural. They're almost equivalent unless it's some greater context, like other words in the search phrase. Further, if you're using bad grammar, well, that doesn't really make that much sense. So if you're using poor grammar and you're trying to target something using incorrect grammar, that's not a good thing, right? Google would prefer to have proper grammar, and generally they're going to sort it out and provide the search results with proper grammar. So the point is, if you think you found like some loophole where you could target singular or plural and get around any sort of other competition, you'd be wrong, and don't make that mistake, because Google's so smart at this point, they will fix errors that we make and take care of them. Number 5 is putting too much value into the keyword competitiveness score, the keyword difficulty score, or whatever it is. Now, there are a few tools out there. Actually, a lot of tools do provide some, what they call a difficulty score. They use different terms for each of the different tools, but basically, most of the time, those are estimations. Those are good guesses based on metrics that come from other tools that are also estimations on how hard it is to rank for something. So the problem arises when we hear people say the keyword competitiveness score is the number that I look at, and if it's anything under 30, then I know I can go for it. And that's just bad advice. And there was a day when those tools were a little more accurate, but nowadays it's like that data is available for everyone. And if the algorithm isn't tight, right, like the keyword competitiveness score, then it doesn't really matter, right? So I've seen so many people just look at that one number. They get a false sense of security that they're going to be able to rank without any backlinks, without doing any additional work, and just publish average to subpar content and then rank. And that's just not going to work, and I've seen it time and time again. In fact, if you have done that, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you thought the keyword competitiveness score was like the number to look at, and then you publish content and it didn't actually work. Conversely, if it worked for you, let me know. Basically, at this point in time, those values are interesting. I'm studying them more, and really I'm comparing them to the keyword golden ratio, and maybe I'll get the keyword golden ratio values, and then I'll look at the keyword difficulty score to sort and maybe prioritize. But if it fits the KGR, I know that's a pretty good keyword. Any of the other competitiveness numbers or difficulty scores are just interesting. Just because a tool says it's easy to rank for something doesn't necessarily mean it is. There are so many factors out there that the tools may not be taking into account. So unless you know the algorithm that they're using, you may not have a good handle on how difficult it is to actually rank for a keyword. Here's the bonus: keyword density. Now, I get this question basically 5 times a week. People are constantly asking me, well, how many times should I use a keyword in my post? The answer is always, I have no idea. I don't know the answer to that because it varies. It depends on the length of the keyword. It depends on, the other competitors. And here's what you can do though, right? So I don't know the answer because I can't tell you some percentage, which is what people want to know. I don't know the percentage. But here's how you find it. Go and get this tool called SEO Quake. SEO Quake is a free extension for Chrome. I think they're loosely connected with SEMrush, but basically you can get the keyword density for post, right? You can go to a site and then click the little button, get the keyword density, and you're good to go. The reason why you're gonna do that is because you need to analyze the competition. And that's why I can't tell you some percentage, because it always varies based on the competition. What you can do is go find your top 3 to 5 competitors, something like that. Analyze the data, right? Go look how many times they use certain keywords. You could see how many times they use a keyword in a subheading, H2, H3 tag. You can see how they're using the words, right? And once you get that value, you understand exactly what Google wants, right? You're looking at the results, you're looking at the data, and again, you're using data to make your decisions, not some generic percentage. If I told you 2%, it'd be wrong most of the time. You have to go and do the research. You have to analyze the competition and then figure out what the keyword ratio should be, the keyword density should be on your post for that particular phrase, right? It varies for every single phrase. So those are the 5 mistakes that you should avoid, plus one bonus. Make sure you do your research on the keyword density. A sub bonus point here. Most of the time, using a keyword fewer times is better than using it too much. If you use it too much, you're probably not gonna rank at all. And if you're light-handed, you're probably gonna rank for that keyword and a few others. Maybe not as high as you want to right off the bat, but you could tweak it after that. So less is more. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, have a look around. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. Thanks.